You're watching Battlecast Primetime on the debut of Command & Conquer TV. Kane lives, and he's here in studio. What juicy tidbits can we get out of actor Joe Kukin on the making of Command & Conquer 3? Speaking of juicy tidbits, what earth-shattering surprises does the C&C dev team have up its sleeve? Plus, the main event. Two top commanders in the C&C3 ladder face off in our very first Battlecast Primetime match. So how come one player is already talking revenge? Stay tuned. This is your new home for exclusive celebrity interviews, official C&C news, and the greatest fan matches ever seen on the web. Battlecast Primetime starts now. You're logged in to Battlecast Primetime alongside my friend Raj Joshi. I'm David Silverman. It's been more than a decade since the first Command & Conquer was released, and we fully realized that the franchise couldn't have been such a runaway success if it wasn't for you, the fiercely loyal fans.
That's why Battlecast Primetime was created. It's a tribute and a showcase for the folks who actually play the game and make C&C the worldwide sensation it is today. Here's how it works. From deep within the bowels of the Battlecast Primetime Command Center, we scope out all the online action that's being uploaded to the web using the new C&C3 Battlecast feature. This is the option that allows players to broadcast their matches for others to see, either live or on replay. We look for the most exciting and creative matches we can find, then we show them to you here, complete with play-by-play, player interviews, and strategic breakdowns. It's a great way to learn more about the nuances of Command & Conquer 3, improve your battle strategies, and perhaps even get you and your match on this program. Battlecast Primetime viewers will also get the latest news on patches, upgrades, and other cool stuff, plus tips, tricks, and secrets from the folks who actually make the game here at EA. Yes, it's all about community camaraderie and blowing each other to smithereens. So in that spirit of brotherhood, let's turn to community manager Aaron APOC Kaufman with the latest news by the fans for the fans in APOC's Community Corner.
What's up, all you Command & Conquerors? If you haven't seen me lately in EGM magazine, wearing a sombrero, riding a scooter, or impersonating David Hasselhoff with our fans in Germany, I love you guys, by the way. Well, then hopefully you'll get used to seeing me now in my new pimped out, swagged out C&C corner right here. We're now 4 months past the launch of C&C3. Over 5 million online games have been served, and we're just getting started. All you mothership lovers out there, and I know who you guys are. We're getting ready to fire our own Catalyst cannon right back at you with the upcoming launch of patch 1.07. Turned around in no less than 15 days, 360 hours, and 21,600 minutes since patch 1.06 released. So far, patch 1.07 will introduce a number of critical balance changes not limited to, but aimed at stopping scrawny pitbull spammers. Greg Black has no respect for pitbull spammers and defensive structure crawlers. Not to mention giving the Harvesters a slightly better IQ. This patch also fixes a number of technical bugs and sends the Mammoth tanks rolling over some of our better-known cheaters. Look for patch 1.07 soon in August. And if that's not enough, patch 1.07 finally unlocks the creative power of modding in C&C3 with our exclusive Modification Software Developer Kit, aka Mod SDK. This is our developer toolkit that will give you, our creative and talented community, the ability to manipulate and modify a huge portion of our game code and art. This long-awaited Mod SDK will enable all you modders to put those shameless walls in, and when I say shameless, I mean shameless. Creepy-looking Tiberian for all you Tiberian sun lovers out there, and mechs with 8 legs for everybody else. In other words, this powerful Mod SDK includes all of our XML files, so you can balance our factions to your liking, updated 3ds Max plugins to create your very own APOC scooter models, bonus points to you guys for that, UI textures to paint the game your favorite color, pattern, or theme, and a nifty data builder and mod launcher to get your total conversion mod up and running. Hit up our official site for the upcoming total conversion mods that are planned, or visit our friends at www.moddb.com, where you can read about over 30 different mods in the pipeline, all of whom are anxiously awaiting the release of this Mod SDK, so they can show Kane how to really take over the universe and not always disappear in a white light. What a coward. Alongside patch 1.07, we're also going to be bringing our first official ladder season for C&C3 to the multiplayer masses. No more will you, Mr. 28,765 on our competitive 1v1 ladder, have to worry about playing games for nothing. If you find yourself in a match against a top-ranked player, you can actually send him packing way down the ladder, maybe even close to your ranks if you defeat him. and likely find yourself moving up more than a few thousand spots. Keep your eyes peeled on our official site at www.commandandconquer.com. So before I squeeze out of this corner, pay attention to these quick community bites. The community's largest C&C3 mapping competition in its 4th run, Open Map Competition, has just received a frackin' huge ELA CNC development team Tesla Bolt sponsorship in the arm, sure to ignite exciting tremors in the community. But you're gonna have to hit our message boards after watching this show to find out what the winners of the competition will receive from us here at EA. Enter now at www.cnccommunity.net. After 3+ years in the making and one hell of an all-star mod team, C&C All-Stars, a total conversion mod for Command & Conquer General's 0 Hour, has been released. This mod aims to bring the greatest units, greatest structures, greatest gameplay ideas, and the greatest moments from C&C games into one spanking awesome total conversion mod. 0 Hour owners get this now at www.cncgeneralsworld.com. And yes, one more thing, mark this date down. Come join me, APOC, August 23rd to the 25th, along with select members of the C&C development team at the Leipzig Games Convention in, you guessed it, Leipzig, Germany. Need I say, our development team has a history of making a big splash at this event, and this year is going to be no less. Well, that's all I got for you guys right now. This has been APOC's Community Corner, and remember, every day is Community Day. Back to you, Dave and Raj.
Thanks, APOC. Now stay tuned for our inaugural Battlecast match, featuring 2 commanders known as Pillbots and Apollo. They're from opposite sides of the Atlantic, but both in the top 1% on the 1v1 ladder. And they'll be tearing it up on the new map, Tournament Rift, very soon.
And these 2 veteran warriors have more than pride at stake, Raj. They've met before, and this time it's about revenge. For more background on our featured match and our players, let's go through the eyes.
Let's take a look at our first commander, Pillbots, aka Timothy White. Born in 1988 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, currently resides in Yorktown, Indiana. Pillbots first started playing C&C about 9 years ago on the original version, and now has worked his way up through the C&C boards to become one of the elite players of the game. He enjoys playing sports, especially basketball, and plans to start college next year to study computer science. As an indication of his C&C playing style, Bots prefers to build castles rather than knock them down. He likes to play as GDI because he prefers to be the good guy. His advice for others who want to win their way into the top 1%? Don't be afraid to play the best. Playing the best will help you become the best. And when asked if he thought Kane was evil, he replied, "No, Kane is a man." Interesting response for a GDI supporter.
Indeed. Now let's get a profile on our other commander, Apollo, aka Sean Clark. Born in 1989 in Staffordshire, England, he currently commands his forces from his home in Wales. Apollo began playing C&C at the tender age of 6, starting with Red Alert on the PlayStation 1, and it has been his passion ever since. He's an avid gamer and plans on attending college this fall to study media, computer technology, and game design. Apollo also thinks of himself as a castle builder versus a destroyer, yet he likes to play as the Scrin. He says that's because they're a bit of an underdog faction, and well, to be honest, he likes being the underdog. His advice for new players is to watch what the best players do, but don't just copy their tactics blindly. Instead, analyze what they do to win and why. Then apply it to your own style.
Sound advice for sure.
Now let's take a look at what happened last time these 2 met on the battlefield. And it's off to the races. Out of the gates, both Bots, GDI, and Apollo Scrin appear to be taking a page out of the Jerry Maguire book, going for the show me the money play with immediate moves to create expansion bases to the south. In the early game, Apollo gets nasty, throws down a lightning spike in Bots' expansion base and a stasis field in his main base, rendering 2 of Bots' refineries inactive for a much-needed 30 seconds. 30 seconds? Might not seem like much, but early in the game, they can be a real difference maker. And the 2 Guardian Cannons Bots is now forced to build doesn't help either. The first punch goes to Bots, who discovers Apollo's unconventional strategy of building his base in a straight line. As Apollo quickly creeps to the middle Tiberium field, Bots heads him off at the pass with his own base creep. Biggest difference here, though, is that Apollo is building necessary structures to get to the center, while Bots is getting a little too refinery happy, and at 2 Gs a pop, that's an expensive move. While these 2 slug it out for the center, Apollo takes his Storm Riders and goes after Bots' corner expansion base, brilliantly targeting the Harvester. And that right there, folks, is the mark of a real pro. It's all about the Benjamins, people. Bots caught up in the center action never sees that happen and leaves his expansion base functioning at 30% as we go to the final push. Bots, starving for cash, realizes that the blue Tiberium field in the south is his only hope for salvation. He decides to make one last play and takes all his forces south to secure this field. Apollo, appearing to have eyes everywhere, sees this coming and instantly starts throwing down defenses and readies another nasty tactic. Apollo moves a mastermind down to the blue field, where he'll execute a variation of the classic capture and sell maneuver, capturing the refinery and then immediately selling it, denying bots any chance to get it back. Bots now no choice but to retreat back north, except here he'll fall victim to a classic naval maneuver called crossing the T, where he'll get picked apart piece by piece. After that, it was all over but the crime.
And that's what makes today's rematch so intriguing. It was obvious from his posts on the C&C message boards that Bots had some regrets about how he played and wants another shot at Apollo.
However, before we get to that historic rematch, we've got another slice of history to serve up, our first commercial break. When we return, the big battle of Bots versus Apollo, plus huge news from the C&C development team that will delight Kane fans everywhere. And speaking of the Dark Messiah, the man himself, actor Joe Kukin, will be in studio to discuss all things C&C when Battlecast Primetime returns on Command & Conquer TV.
If you gotta get in the game, you gotta get with the family. Homer, Marge, Lisa, and Bart.
Don't you understand, son? Your whole life has been a video game.
This fall, roll with your homies.
Cool. I started this riot in the name of decency.
Game over, man. Game over.
The Simpsons Game. Coming this fall to every platform ever made.
Whatever.
Shh.
Welcome back to Battlecast Primetime. Coming up in mere moments, our feature match pitting two top commanders in the C&C3 ladder, plus our exclusive interview with the possibly evil, but definitely hairless mastermind that is Kane. But first, let's take a look at what's new in the C&C universe from the front.
Want to enjoy the matches on Battlecast but don't own C&C3 yet? Well, we feel your pain. So coming soon, EA will release the official Battlecast viewer. This free application will allow anyone in the world to watch C&C replays, even if they don't own the game. You'll be able to download the viewer only at commandandconquer.com. Stay tuned for more details on its release, or just buy the game, you freeloaders!
Earlier this month, a mysterious screenshot appeared on the official website for Command & Conquer 3, its origins unknown. Speculation started emerging as to whether or not it was an image from a future C&C game or a work-in-progress shot from C&C3. The only thing for sure came in the form of small text that read CNCX Radio Test. EA has yet to comment on the true nature of this screenshot, and, well, they still aren't talking. It's been 3 months since the release of Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars, and fans have eagerly been asking what's next. So Raj, what's next?
Ixnay on the Xnay, our strict non-disclosure rules. If we tell him, we have to kill him.
Oh, Raj, we don't do that anymore. Charlie, he was an accident.
Are you sure?
I think so.
Okay, but you're taking all the fun out of it. All right, so the big news, remember that mysterious screenshot David was referring to earlier? We now know the source. Today, EA is announcing the first official expansion pack to Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars. Shipping early 2008, this expansion is all about everyone's favorite villain, Kane. With a brand new campaign that follows his rise back to power after the Second Tiberium War and continues all the way through C&C3 and beyond. Producer Jim Vasella is on hand via satellite to provide some more details. Hi, Jim.
Hey Raj, so we're very excited to finally be announcing the first expansion pack for C&C3, Command & Conquer 3, Kane's Wrath. Now as the title suggests, Kane's Wrath is all about Kane and the rise of Nod following the Second Tiberium War, taking the player also through the Third Tiberium War and beyond in the storyline. The game and the campaign will feature our high-definition, live-action cinematics once again, and of course, feature Joe Kukin reprising his role as Kane, and we'll also be introducing a few new characters for him to mingle with. Now, one of the core features of this game is the global domination metagame. Imagine a game like Risk, but on steroids, supporting the C&C fiction with ion cannons, nukes, mammoth tanks, as you move your armies around the entire world. And when armies collide, you'll jump down into that fast and fluid CNC gameplay that you know and love. When you come out, those units and armies will persist, allowing for a longer, more global campaign. And if it is new units and faction content that you desire, we are not going to disappoint. We'll have new units, upgrades, powers, structures for each of the core factions. And each faction will also have 2 sub-factions. These sub-factions will also come with their own modified units, unique powers and upgrades. And each one will cater to a specific play style, allowing players to really find the side that's best for them. So we think players are really going to grasp on to a certain side that fits exactly the way they want to play. These sub-factions and new faction content are really going to mix up the online play, of which we'll also be adding over 24 new multiplayer maps. Now, all of this content will also be available for the Xbox 360, which will release simultaneously with the PC version. But the 360 players are going to receive something very special. You may have seen a few weeks ago that a certain screenshot was leaked on our forums. Now, I assure you, the spy has been dealt with, but the screenshot did feature one of our brand new innovations, the radial interface. This radial interface allows exponentially more speed and power to the user when they're managing their build queues. It allows them to manage their base from anywhere on the map. You never have to go back. It's one of the key points of the PC that we're bringing over to the console. This is the team that pioneered RTS on console. This is our next innovation, and we really think it's going to revolutionize RTS on console yet again. We've been really listening to the fans. We've been looking at the forums. We want to implement as much of your ideas as possible. We've been doing it all throughout development on this expansion pack. We really think that the fans are going to love it when Command & Conquer 3, Kane's Wrath, ships in early 2008.
Thanks, Jim. But I have a feeling that for Kane fans, early 08 won't come early enough. But don't despair, because right now we have the perverse pleasure of welcoming the evil leader of the Brotherhood himself to our studio.
Evil? Or perhaps just misunderstood? Let's find out. Joe Coogan, welcome to Battlecast Primetime.
Howdy. Hi, everybody. How's it going, Dave?
Doing well. Doing all right. It's been 8 years since Command & Conquer 2, Tiberian's Son.
Really? 8 years?
8 years. Can you believe that?
It doesn't seem realistic.
Yeah. Now we're back to Command & Conquer 3. What's it like to be back in the saddle again?
I have never been happier in my life. I'm having a lot of fun. What's not to like? I get to rule over armies that try and take over the world. I am the penultimate megalomaniac. What is not to like?
Did you find that when you were growing up, you thought to yourself, man, when I grow up, I want to be the maniacal leader of a fanatical religious terrorist organization?
Yeah, when I was playing in my sandbox and trying to get all the other kids to shave their heads, little did I know that it would be me. No, you know, it's not the box that you check off on the application. Yeah, exactly. When you go in to see the career counselor in high school, it's not one of the boxes listed. But
right next to farmer, terrorist leader.
Yeah, I don't like to use the word terrorist. These are tough. Well, these are interesting times. And to argue the case for a charismatic terrorist leader of a quasi-religious organization can get you into a lot of trouble. And I wouldn't want to broach that subject, to tell you the truth. I'm just saying.
Speaking of which, how did you get the role of Kane?
Cracker Jack box. I swear to Cracker Jack box. You know, I'm going through the pop top. I open up and you eat. You know, you eat as much as you can. But you dig out the little prize and I ripped it open and the role of Kane was in there. I had no idea.
Did you have any apprehensions about coming back and reliving the life of Kane?
The fun part about it is that it's a type of acting that is so ultra dramatic and big that it's just impossible not to have a good time. I mean, you take it seriously, but because there's so much to do, there's so much raw drama and raw emotion to play with. It's just, we had a good time. It was a lot of fun. I was excited to work with anybody who came into these projects excited to work on them. And you have to admit, there's some actors who kind of come in, they look at the sets, they look at the costumes, they look at the green screens, they look at the scripts, and they think, what have I done to my career? You know, seriously. But some come in.
You're saying it's a step back?
No, I'm not saying it's a step back at all. But I'm saying that
movies, TV, video games.
I'm saying that it can be viewed as sort of a type of shoebox acting. It's different from. It's not Shakespeare in the Park, kids. Let's face it. And I think that it's always refreshing to see the actors who come in see it for what it is, see it as a brave new world of storytelling, see it as an exciting way to connect with a whole new audience in a whole new way, and to really do some just fun acting. It really can be a lot of fun. I try to have fun. So I'm always excited to work with actors who are smart enough to see that right away. And for me, I've been lucky enough that that's been the majority of everyone that I've ever worked with. They've come in and have really sort of embraced the work, taken it very seriously, but saw right away that it was an opportunity to have a good time.
Joe Coogan, thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule of merciless destruction to be with us today.
Yeah, busy schedule. This has all been pretty cool. You guys are doing really good stuff here.
You know what else is pretty cool? Check this out. Dun da da!
No way! Oh, how cool is... You guys have got to buy these. These are really stinking cool. This is the coolest thing ever. Oh, man. This is great. I could not be happier.
Well, that's right, folks. The brand new Kane bobblehead. Lifelike, stylish, hand-painted, and made out of 100% non-edible materials. And look, it even talks. The new Kane bobblehead available at the C&C store later this fall. Joe, on behalf of Battlecast Primetime, allow me to present this to you as a token of our appreciation.
I'd like to thank the Academy. I truly appreciate this. Seriously, I'm really grateful. This is really, really cool. I should make you an honorary member of the Brotherhood or something.
Are you serious? That would be huge.
You're in. That's all I tell you. You're in. Well done.
Thank you so much, Joe. And do you think maybe you could stick around later and commentate on the match as Kane? Give us Kane's perspective?
Yeah. Me and Little Kane will be here. Can we say Little Kane? Oh, yes, we can stay. Yes, we can. Well, if he says we can, we can.
Can I become an honorary member of the Brotherhood?
No.
But I let you sit in my chair.
Yeah, thanks. No.
Well, stay tuned, folks. Coming up after the break, the Battle Royale, the rematch of the Millennium, the fight for your right to Tiberium. Yes, it's Bots versus Apollo with commentary from Kane and Little Kane himself.
Stick around and watch. Stick around. That's right. Stick around. Yes.
Live from our studio when Battlecast Primetime continues on Command & Conquer TV. Welcome back. The time has finally come to turn our attention to our very first Battlecast Primetime match, which today, Raj, features a rematch between two of our top commanders from the C&C3 ladder, Bots versus Apollo.
And this time it looks like Bots will be playing as the Brotherhood of Nod, and Apollo will be playing as GDI. It'll be interesting to see if this change of faction will alter Pillbots' overall strategy from the last match.
Well, you know, Nod is more ruthless.
Agreed. As we mentioned earlier, this match, like all matches featured on Battlecast Primetime, come directly from you, the CNC player. Just make sure to check the Battlecast option when you set up your match to broadcast your next battle online. If it turns into an awesome spectacle of destruction, you might find yourself featured in an upcoming episode.
Now for more detailed analysis of today's match and the two commanders who will be duking it out, let's bring in our play-by-play team, CNC developers, Greg Black and Jason Bender. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks, David. It's great to be here. Can't wait to see this match.
Yeah, it seems like tonight's match is going to be a real edge to it, with Pillbots looking for redemption from his previous loss.
Well, guys, let's get into it, starting with your analysis of each commander's playing style.
Well, last time, Apollo used the screen to take the center of the field with a spider creep. So that worked out really well for him. He never likes giving up the middle of the field, so look for him to set up camp there again.
Yeah, and I think Pillbots, you know, he's a traditionalist. He's going to be building lots of units. He's going to be rushing. He's going to be trying to micromanage the hell out of him. And he's just going to be hitting Apollo head on over and over again, trying to knock him off of that perch.
Well, now that we know what the playing styles are like, let's take a look at the map with some Battleground reconnaissance. Boys?
Tournament Rift, a 1v1 ranked map with starting points in the upper left and upper right. Due south of each starting position, there's an expansion Tiberium field, and slightly closer to the center, each player has an easy tip spike. There are 2 more tip spikes in the bottom center of the map. Expect to see some early contention here. The other side of the map is an exact mirror. Players can go the safe route and expand south to their protected tip field, or head over to the top of the map and fight over the green Tiberium field halfway between the 2 bases. It's hard to hold on to, but whoever holds it definitely has an offensive edge and a defensive buffer. Due south is the impassable rift this map is named for, and below that is a blue Tiberium field. It starts out small, but it expands throughout the match, and could become more important late game, especially if the other fields dry up.
And now it's time for our legendary pre-match feature, the pick of the game. So, Greg, let's start with you. Who's going to win and why?
I'm going to have to give this one to Pillbots. You know, he's tan, he's rested, he's ready, he's got something to prove. I think, he hates losing, and he's going to really bring the pressure this time.
All right, Jason, batter up. What's your pick?
Well, in this map, everything hinges on one single Tiberium field, and that plays to Apollo's strength, so I'm going to go with Apollo.
And Raj, I don't want to leave you out of the party. Who's your pick and why?
Well, I gotta say, all strategy and gameplay aside, I'm gonna have to go with Pillbots. Reason being, as we all know, history has shown us that Apollo Creed does lose in the end.
Cuts me deep, buddy. I'm actually going for Apollo for that very reason. Apollo's got heart. He's got the eye of the tiger. There is no tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. So there you have it. We are split down the middle. When we return, Vengeance Thy Name is Command & Conquer 3, the rematch of Apollo vs. Bots. Plus, Joe Coogan will weigh in on the outcome when Battlecast Primetime continues on Command & Conquer TV.
Commander, General Jack Granger, good to have you on board. These are interesting times.
If Nod wants a war, let's give them one.
Now, despite rumors of Kane's death, the Brotherhood remains stronger than ever. Our commitment to Tiberium undying.
It's an exciting time to be Nod.
Transformation is coming. A new day will dawn. The future is ours.
Welcome back to Battlecast Primetime, and as you can see, we're ready to rumble with our very first featured match, Pillbots versus Apollo.
And standing by for the play-by-play are C&C developers Jason Bender and Greg Black.
Gentlemen, let the battle begin. Today's match, Pillbots playing as the Brotherhood of Nod versus Apollo playing as GDI on Tournament Rift.
So last time we saw these two guys play, Apollo was playing as Scrin, and he managed to creep into the middle of the field using a very aggressive building strategy.
I think this time he's actually gone with just a pure surveyor charge to the center, and he's setting up that base there, wanting to keep control of that green Tiberium field. It looks like Pillbots decided to go for the tib spikes instead, and I don't know how that's going to work out for him.
Well, the one good thing is that the other guy's going to have to make an effort. Apollo's going to have to make an effort because he put a couple of troops in garrison buildings to keep off any odd engineer that runs by. On the other hand, Bots does have a few tanks where we don't see any tanks from Apollo right now, so he definitely has the first blood potential here.
So Apollo doesn't have any tanks, but he does have a war factory right on the edge of that green Tiberium field. And I mean, that means he can basically get reinforcements in there immediately. There's a barracks, so he's just going to fortify this and keep pumping units out of it.
So we've got 4 Scorpions who are kind of going back and forth, not concentrating on any particular target. They've been chasing that harvester around a little bit, but they haven't knocked it out yet.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Apollo is somehow managing to heal his guy up because that war factory's right there or something. It seems odd to me that Pillbots hasn't been able to take out that harvester yet.
Well, he is doing loops around it, so he is going to get the benefit of getting healed. On the other hand, really, he's not making a concerted effort to chase it. He's got missile troops standing in the Tiberium field.
That's never good.
So what we have from Apollo now, pressing the advantage of having buildings here, he has built a base defense to take out those tanks. He's got a cannon, a Guardian cannon up. The Scorpions still not concentrating their fire very effectively, and now what's he doing? He's repairing the structure that they were attacking. So
Pillbots has got to muster up a big army, and he's got to go take that base out, or, Apollo is spending a lot of his resources, a lot of his effort and attention taking that center field. It's possible that his main base isn't well defended. He may try some sort of sneaky commando attack, engineers, things of that nature. But I think right now he's just going to focus on lots of Scorpion tanks, trying to break that foothold that Apollo's got in the middle of the base.
But why is he pulling out? Looks like he has a reason here.
Yeah, we've got some reinforcements dropping in. I'm guessing those are going to be infantry, probably rifle guys and rocket guys, and he wants to kill those planes while they're landing before the infantry gets out. Yeah. Got one of them, didn't get enough of them, and
but now he's retreating. I mean, he should be running those guys over, right?
That's an excellent point. I'm not quite sure why he's retreating. I think he feels like he's on the defensive. Doesn't quite have the confidence to move forward and really push it, which is what he needs to be doing.
So, but here we have something different happening. Bots is doing a good job now. He built up a base defense. shredder turrets to take out the enemy infantry, which was going to be a factor against the Scorpions.
Yeah, that's strong. I mean, you can see all those missiles firing from Apollo's base. Those are really going to hurt his Scorpion tanks, and those shredder turrets may be the thing he needs to hold those missile guys off.
You have to figure Apollo's got his queues building up with a lot of base defenses right now, and he's just waiting to drop them. I mean, he's got a second war factory, so he's got double duty going on as far as pumping out armor to get into the front line. So we have a flame tank here, which is retreating, but it didn't look like it was able to
didn't last
much.
very long, did it? And not seeing a whole lot going on at Pillbot's base. It looks like Apollo's starting to move in for the kill.
Look at that. He took out that air tower. That's a costly loss. I mean, he wiped out the defenses, and now he's rolling in with a pretty significant armor force. There's like a flame tank showing up, but that's not going to do much.
Yeah, flame tank against the armor force. I guess he's building them to try and take out the infantry, but again, it just looks too little, too late on Pillbot's part.
Absolutely. He was about a minute and a half behind on that. If he could have gotten that in a little bit earlier and gotten in against the structures and the infantry, it would have been a good call. Also, an obelisk just now.
Yeah, just went up, immediately got sold. Not a good sign for Pillbots. You know, when those obelisks are being popped up at your base while the enemy's there, maybe too late.
Yeah, so the obelisks tend to be a good option when you're prepared and you know where they're coming from and you've got some armor to absorb the hit so the obelisk doesn't get knocked out. But in this case, the obelisk just was the only thing standing there and it got blown up instantly by predators.
Yeah, it really doesn't have that sort of first strike devastating capability that, say, a sonic emitter has or even a storm column. Yeah. You really got to have those things ready in advance.
So now Pillbots has his back to the wall here. He's got an avatar up, which is going to help against those predators. He's got a lot of missile troopers. Great job. And now here's another obelisk, which might survive a little bit longer if he's lucky, since the predators are now are diminished in their numbers. So Pillbots might have been thinking back to their previous match, where when Apollo was playing Scrin, he did that spider tactic all the way out to the middle, and he principally used gravity stabilizers to get out there, which is the airfield for the Scrin. So he got all the way out there doing that, and then he was able to deploy aircraft right into the front line.
So are you thinking that, I mean, maybe Pillbots thought that that's what Apollo was going to do this time, thought he had a little more time to get that center green field, which is why he was sort of slow on the attack?
Yeah, another thing that you can do when someone spiders out like that, the tentacle tactic, you can cut it off. You can kind of come back in, you can cut it off, and you can pincer it, and then that thing gets cut off pretty easily. Apollo switched it up this time by getting in there and fortifying his front line. It was funny because he was late on vehicles, but now it's paid off because he's moving into mammoths now in the late game. He's got a sonic emitter that's just out of range of that obelisk, so we have a no man's land in the middle that's just covered in craters.
Yeah, you can just see, you know, you move guys out there, that sonic emitter or the obelisk is just going to eat them up. So somebody's going to sit back, muster up a big force, and then just power their way through it.
Here we go. This is a big problem. We've got a couple of mammoths moving up. So there's only 4 mammoths, but 4 mammoths is equal to, you know, a whole bunch more in as far as armor and hit points go.
Yeah, and the mammoth taking some damage from the avatar of the Scorpions and that obelisk starting to retreat. Looks like Apollo is trying to pull Pillbots into his no man's land to get that sonic emitter firing on him and get those rockets and the railguns from the mammoth.
Well, that seems to be working. That sonic emitter just did some horrific damage to that group of units there. These avatars are getting left out on the field, you know, pretty much alone. There goes one. I mean, he's going to need a saboteur to go back in there and pick that sucker up.
Yeah, and hopefully Apollo won't do it first, because you know that's going to be real depressing when you see your own avatars taking out your own base.
We haven't seen too many engineers up in this territory. There hasn't been much of a reason up to now to do it, but I think now that the bases are a little bit exposed and the battle is raging, I'm hoping to see much more in the way of engineers and saboteurs.
And look at this, we got zone troopers on the map, we have sonic emitters, we've got avatars, we've got mammoth tanks. This is clearly a tier 3 battle. And
Juggernauts, check this out. We got the Orca Strike coming in to knock out that base defense. Great job. So Apollo just put it on full steam. He's calling in support powers in the form of reinforcements, Orca Strikes, which pretty much means that Pillbots is going to have to pull out a lot of different counters, and he doesn't have the money to do that.
Yeah, I can't imagine that he does. I mean, the only thing he's got going for him right now is that heroic missile squad there plinking away, and it looks like those zone troopers are going to deal with them shortly.
So there's a commando from Pillbots.
Ooh, commando. So this is what I was talking about earlier. You know, I can't imagine that Apollo's base is too heavily defended. He can't be paying too much attention to it. So maybe if he can get that commando in there, do some damage, take out his MCV even.
And we have some snipers here plinking off the few infantry that Pillbots does have. Now he's got some vertigo bombers. So that commando, we can kind of assume it's going to go maybe right through the middle of the map, take out the blue Tiberium field, and then maybe try to go for the main base after that.
Yeah, quite possibly. Who knows? I think that's an awful lot to ask from a single commando. It's good that he's doing it, but again, you know, I hate to keep repeating this. Too little, too late. You know, he should have been doing this 5 minutes ago.
But I mean, he's had a lot on his plate to deal with. To his credit, keeping his base alive for a long time.
That's true. With the way this game has been going, I would have expected Pillbots to be out of it a lot earlier, and he has just been, holding his ground as much as possible, but, he's losing that long-term economic battle. And this is looking real bad. That MCV is about to go down, that Conyard.
Yeah, losing your Conyard is really just like getting your heart pulled out here. So Apollo's coming in and just delivering the death blow here. But
and to Apollo's credit too, Pillbots was somebody that came here to win. He fought to the bitter end, but Apollo was able to sort of beat him at every turn, and really a hard-fought, well-earned victory on Apollo's part and a well-played defense on Pillbots' part.
Absolutely. Props to both these guys for making a great showing of GDI and Nod strategy here.
Good game.
Well, looks like Bots just couldn't get it together.
It seems that way. Apollo took hold of the center early on, and Bots made some valiant attempts to try and take it over, but in the end just couldn't deliver.
All right, so let's now break it down, beginning with the analysis of the game stats, which, by the way, is a function of Command & Conquer 3 that all players can enjoy. So let's take a look now.
All right, let's start by looking at the resource graph. This is really important. You can see here at about the 4-minute mark, that's where Apollo's economy really starts to pull ahead of Pillbots, and that's really what won him the game over the long term.
So when you move over to the structures chart, you can see a few different things. First of all, you can see that at the 4-minute mark, this is when the battle really goes south for Pillbots, but he still holds in. Looking along this flat line, you can see that he did a great job of keeping his base together, even though he was at a deficit on resources and was getting attacked constantly.
And taking a look at the units graph, there are a couple interesting things to take note of. First of all, again, at the 4-minute mark, this is where Pillbots first tried to attack Apollo's second base and wasn't really able to succeed. And then if we look a little further, about the 9-10 minute mark, this is when Apollo really stuck it to Pillbots. This is when he built up his massive force, threw it at Pillbots' base, and really sort of won the game.
Right here in the middle, though, there's a little bit of a telling stat. Right in the center, it looks like Pillbots is pulling ahead in units. That's because he was not giving up the fight. He was doing a good job of keeping units on the field, repelling attacks on his base, and he did a great job of staying in the fight long after he lost the center.
And considering that, the game really started to unravel for Pillbots, between about the 5 and 10 minute mark, he hung in there for a really long time.
And guys, do you think there was a key turning point in this match?
Well, it looks to me like the key turning point came when Pillbots tried to dislodge Apollo right at the very beginning of the match, and he was repelled not once but twice. From there, it was kind of all downhill.
Well, that leads us to our play of the match. Gentlemen, what's the verdict?
I'd have to give the play of the match to Apollo for his final assault on Pillbots' base. He just threw everything and the kitchen sink at Pillbots. He had mammoth tanks, he had zone troopers, he was calling in shockwave artillery, he was calling in reinforcements, he had snipers. He threw everything he had, and Pillbots just couldn't handle it.
Congrats to Apollo for winning the match and for the play of the game. And thanks to Jason Bender and Greg Black for their excellent analysis.
Thanks for having us.
See you next time.
And Kane, what did you think of the outcome of today's match between GDI versus Nod?
Oh, we shall have our vengeance. GDI will be ground beneath the heel of the Brotherhood. I cannot be destroyed. I am immortal! All right, peace to power, kids. I'm out of here.
Kane, is there any way I can become part of the Brotherhood? He's gone.
Well, that brings us to the end of our first show, and what a show it was.
I'll say, big news about the new expansion pack, big battle action with tonight's matchup of C&C Titans.
And of course, the biggest of stars with Joe Kukin himself here in the studio, dropping by for a visit.
Remember, Battlecast Primetime is your source for official news on the downloadable Battlecast viewer and the new expansion pack. So check back next time for more details.
And don't forget to Battlecast your next match for a shot to be featured here on Battlecast Primetime. For Raj Joshi, I'm David Silverman, and we'll see you on the battlefield. Good job, Raj.